Hello everyone, and welcome to this audio podcast as part of another radio edition, and where this audio podcast will be an overview in around this in around an overview in around a second sort of book a book a second sort of art book that is in sort of in process and in production. And I thought of, in this radio edition, I thought of provide a sort of an overview in around this sort of art book, this art book in around looking at CKD and evidence science through art. And this is sort of side B, side B, side B side B of the sort of art book works. And this is in this sort of radio part of this radio edition sort of audio podcast. There'll be sort of allied to this particular or specific overview. There'll be a sort of sort of perspective on what can be sort of expected in or what can be anticipated in this in this second art book publication. And so this is an overview as part of another Storm Robotics production, and where where this overview provides a basis in around this art book from a sort of research and analysis perspective, and using art to raise CKD research through awareness. So this book or this art book is a collaborative, another collaborative or a Storm Robotics collaborative, and it's and the main one of the main one of the main aspects around this particular book publication, similar to sort of side A, where the book publication is for sort of allied health professionals, frontline health professionals, multidisciplinary teams or MDTs, healthcare service users, healthcare service providers, long-term healthcare disease sufferers, and for those amongst and in the public domain. And one of the another aspect, another basis in around this works is the book, this art book or side B of this sort of book, this art book looks to provide is again sort of using art linked to important elements of healthcare, um, uh, uh, um, and again from a sort of scientist perspective, but also to raise an understanding of health and disease through art and media, on Medium postings between international social media platforms for pediatrics, between pediatrics and young people and adults suffering with this particular disease, and also in around this where this art books similar to art book similar to sort of side A, the side A art book. Again, sort of where the mission crux is in around sort of using art to reflect healthcare and to highlight to prevent sort of disparities and raise sort of equality. Now, in around the contents page and the in this inside B, there's a little bit around the author, some bases in around the aims of this art book, apart from sort of apart from what apart from sort of what has been sort of just particular what has been particularly highlighted already. At the same time, again, where this art book or side B looks at again sort of highlights what art does, that words cannot, and looking at different themes, several themes and different themes, different themes, from art book side A, and the themes in this art book look at CKD, the fundamentals. Theme 2 is in around CKD, chronic illness by volume. Theme 3 is before CKD. Theme 4 is in around restriction. Theme 5 is around renal replacement therapy and tech. Theme 6 is around sort of strength, looking at aspects around that. And then theme 7 is around during CKD. Theme 8 is around resilience. Theme 9 is around ongoing tests and investigations. Theme 10 is around science and research. Theme 11 is around the fatigue. Theme 12 is around post-transplant. Theme 13 is around polypharmacy. Theme 14 is around the gift of life. And theme 15 is around young people. Theme 16 is around empowerment. Theme 17 is around awareness. Theme 18 is in around the RPSG, the collaborators in around the RPSG and the CADARs. And then there are then in this art book there are some conclusions, some acknowledgements, and some dedications as well. So I'm going to highlight quickly just a little bit in around the some sort of an excerpt, if you like, from the intro of this art book as well. So patients sort of also use patients or service users also use the internet to access peer support groups through social media, and whilst that can be helpful, especially wherein patients have opportunities to share care and experiences, peer support unfortunately alone does not override the necessity for educational support, and so the learning style, health, and digital literacy of patients also varies, and it is in this context patients are more informed are more informed, or where misinformation arises and impacts negatively on service user experience, compromises quality of care, and overall down spiral diagnosis and disease trajectory. Now, in around this as well, so a little bit like sort of similar to art book one, or side A, wherein linked with the different themes, of the several themes, there is there is art that have been posted or shared between the two social media platforms. Then there is a sort of sort of a sort of qualitative context that links with that art, and then there's educational there's a sort of educational context that comes with that particular theme. And then as in the case with as in art book 1 or side A, there is a notes page again. So again, the art book or this art book looks to high looks to prompt or where service users and service providers can use the art book as a way to document document specific aspects around in around in around in around healthcare, and where different sort of aspects of healthcare can be then documented into electronic patient records where applicable. And at the same time the art book serves as for service users serves as a potential as a sort of potential sort of for as a sense of reminder. So for example, the themes, like for example, theme two looks at chronic illness by volume, and the graphic or the image that had been posted in around this on social media, between the social media platforms, for example, says, for example, there's a graphic and there's an image, where with the image there's a little bit of information. So for example, so directly from this particular theme, and the particular graphic, it says, you have a chronic illness. You have a chronic illness when your medical when your medical records come in volumes. And the graphic is basically where there's a medical notes and sort of stacked up high, and where the where a person a person's sort of face cannot as part of the image cannot be seen or identified, since the medical records are stacked up quite high. And so with this, there is sort of a qualitative context that is again sort of linked with the graphic, or linked with the art, and then there again there is some sort of educational context, and the idea is, and the basis in around the art book for service users is sort of to encourage a sort of a encourage that sort of communicational dialogue, or where, for example, where there are points of important aspects of healthcare that service users may want service users or patients want to sort of discuss with healthcare providers, for example. And for healthcare providers, the art book can also be used such that that different aspects of the patient's care, or the service user's care, can 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 allow and should allow service providers to ensure that the care provided is linked with a particular theme, and that any particular notes that are documented are specific to that particular theme. And so with side B, the themes the themes differ in this art book versus side A, or art book side A. However, again, the themes again are linked or are linked in are linked and are sort of allied between those suffering with particular diseases or long-term health conditions, but also where the art books generally can be used amongst those in the amongst those amongst those in context of public health. And so the notes pages are useful in this way, so that service users, irrespective of sort of health complaint, for example, can use these art books sort of in a sort of in a way to kind of to kind of sort of allow sort of important notes to be sort of documented. So the art books, this particular art book is again in around using sort of art to raise CKD research through awareness. However, at the same time, there is a basis in around where the themes are sort of are sort of pertinent across different aspects of healthcare as well. So this book will be in process and in production soon. And so I thought about again as part of this radio edition to provide a quick overview around this. And the books will be available will be potentially available online at some point. However, they are available electronically. They are the art books. Are available electronically through the RPSG, through the RPSG. However, the electronic versions versus the sort of the sort of physical copy is is different or would differ. And so once the art books are available, there will be a sort of an overview in around the in around sort of highlighting the physical copy of the art books in sort of subsequently as well. And just to say quickly as part of this quick overview, that there are again there are seven there are 18 themes in around this art book. And there are some conclusions. Again, there are some conclusions and some acknowledgements as well, and some dedications, and on the back page, on the back of this art book, there is a sort of a surmised context that provides a sort of a sort of an abstract, if you like, of what of the works that is contextualized within this art book. So that draws this sort of a radio edition to a close. This has been an audio podcast in around an overview of art book and side B, looking at CKD and evidence and science through art, looking at sort of an overview from sort of a research and a sort of analysis perspective, and where this audio podcast allied to the art book side B, and highlighting art using art to raise CKD research through awareness. Thank you for tuning in on this radio edition.